Hello everyone, and welcome back to Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. For me it's a new day since the last episode, so I feel more up to even more talking actually. I want to get to know Sela, I want to talk to Irabev, and there's some characters here. This journal, I want to see what it's about, and Forn Autumn Haze, for sure, and I do want to check out the basement maybe. So, without further ado, good day and clear skies. What do you say? Where are we off today? I'd like to know more about you. Of course, ask anything. I'll answer honestly. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? I'm a little bit from Geb, a little bit from Katapesh, but mostly from the Knights of Yomedai. I was accepted and began my training at 14. I belong to their ranks more than I belong to any other place. You've come to Mendev by a long road, haven't you? A very long one. Sila looks at you cheerfully. A traveler is expected to have amusing stories. Unfortunately, I have only 3 tales of any interest, and I like to save them for our next feast. Otherwise, I won't have anything to show for myself when it's time to start bragging. And that just won't do, especially since I'll win the night with my cautionary tale of a battle with chupacabras. Okay? You can't tempt me with a story about fighting chupacabras and then not follow through. What are chupacabras, by the way? Incredibly repulsive magical beasts, fast and dangerous. They can. Well, it looks like someone's fooled me into starting the tale. I guess now I'll have to tell the whole story. Picture a small town in Kadira. Where is that? The westernmost satrapy of the Padisha Empire of Kelesh. Kadira is a kingdom with the power of the sprawling empire at its back. Kadira is Kalesh's doorway to the Inner Sea region, and is perhaps the single most valuable piece of real estate on Golarion. Okay, so picture a small town in Kadira, and down in the dungeon there's 2 murderers waiting to be executed. The gallows are already built for them. The rope has been bought. But sometimes life takes a surprising turn. Suddenly, a paladin of Yomedai appeared in the doorway and offers the murderers a deal. If they go with her to fight some monsters, they'll live. If they survive, that is. There is a big difference between imminent death and probable death, with a glimmer of hope. Wouldn't you say? So here we are traveling through the desert, me and my friend, the priestess of Sarenrae, along with the little rat folk fellow who'd asked for our help, and the 2 cutthroats. We get to the rat folk village and see their bodies lying around, all drained dry. We figured we'd have to fight vampires. That's how the little rat folk described the monsters who attacked their village. That's why we went in all brazen like. The sun was high, and the vampires couldn't attack until dusk. But we never got a chance to look around. Black shadows, quick as the wind, attacked us from all sides. Not vampires, but chupacabras. One of the lads we pulled from the gallows got killed right away. The second one ran for his life. That left me, the rat folk, and Kira was the name of the priestess, and we all steeled ourselves for the fight of our lives. And just when we thought the end had come, with the chupacabras surrounding me like a pack of dogs around a bear, our rat folk friend wounded and down, and the teeth of the quickest of those blasted monsters clenched on Kira's shoulder. Right then, when all hope was lost, the other lad from the gallows suddenly comes running back. He kills the beast, attacking Kira. I'm sure you know what a turning point in a fight looks like. Well, this was it. A moment before we were lost, and a moment later we had it back under control. The chupacabras dropped dead, one by one. The little rat folk is reunited with his family, who were hiding in the basement. The priestess and I closed the eyes of that boy from the gallows who saved us. It was a shame he didn't survive the fight. May the gods keep his soul in his journey through the afterlife. Your savior was a fool. Well, he redeemed himself. That's a good story. He could have died in disgrace on the gallows, but instead he died a hero. And I'd fancy the stunt earned him some points at his final judgment. Smart to remember our journey doesn't end in death. Had it not been for that mercy, Milos, that was his name, would be hanging from a noose, and me, Kira, and all the rat folk would be dead in that village. Someone told me that a kind deed done by an unkind person is 100 times more precious. By the same token, an evil done by a noble soul is 100 times more horrifying. That's what I really wanted to say. The chupacabras were just a good starting point. You got a point there. Just, it has a bigger impact because you don't expect it from those people. What made you become a paladin of Yomedai? Sila's gaze sharpens momentarily, then she sighs. That's a serious question and a good one. You should ask it of your companions, but it's a long story. To start with, 12 years ago I was nothing like the person I am now. I roamed the streets of Soku with the other homeless orphans. I stole, I fought, I was hired sword for a bit. Not the proper origin for a paladin, is it? Back then, Solku was a city of orphans, widows, and widowers. Gnolls decimated the city regularly. My parents were amongst their victims. People there heard about new deaths before they'd finished mourning their previous losses. One day, a group of knights of Yomedai brought a glimmer of hope to the city. But while others saw them as saviors and protectors, I was busy pricing up their noble horses and their gleaming mithril armor, wondering just how much one of their pretty swords would fetch. A thief lives one day at a time, that's what they say. I was the type that never thought past the next job. Anyhow, I was able to sneak into the knight's camp and steal one of their mithril helms. Sila pauses, her voice sad and measured. And I was right there when a gnoll attacked the helm's owner. Akemi was her name, and dealt a blow to her unprotected head. A gnoll, like those others she'd fearlessly driven from the gates of Solku. That one blow was fatal. Who was really to blame for her death? The gnoll attacker or the young thief named Sila? Life is cruel and full of chaos. Sometimes survival just comes down to luck. Yeah. So that's how you see it. Sila looks at you with curiosity but no hostility. I can't accept that point of view. The story of my youth told me anything is that we're all accountable for our actions. It's too easy to wave off responsibility if you use the cruelty of life as an excuse. Yeah, but that's what it is. You can't foresee every consequence of your actions. But you were asking what brought me into the ranks of Yomedai's warriors. We all choose the paladin's path for our own reasons. Some are guided by nobility of spirit, some a desire to fight injustice. I became who I am through penance and a debt unpaid. The day Akemi died protecting my city, I wanted to kill myself for the terrible guilt I felt. But then I realized it wouldn't make the world any better, and I decided that instead I'd try to take her place and become who she had been and protect the innocents that she would no longer be able to protect. Yeah, makes sense, but you're quiet. She sounds really carefree for this past. Maybe that's her way, that's her mask. What are the principles that paladins of Yomedai follow? I'll tell you, I like to recite our code. It feels like I've said it 1,000 times, but it never gets old. There is strength in these words. After a pause, she begins. her voice slow and meditative. I will learn the weight of my sword. Without my heart to guide it, it is worthless. My strength is not in my sword, but in my heart. If I lose my sword, I have lost the tool. If I betray my heart, I have died. I will have faith in the inheritor. I will channel her strength through my body. I will shine in her legion, and I will not tarnish her glory through base actions. I am the first into battle, and the last to leave it. I will not be taken prisoner by my free will. I will not surrender those under my command. I will never abandon a companion, though I will honor sacrifice freely given. I will guard the honor of my fellows, both thought and both thought and deed, and I will have faith in them. When in doubt, I may force my enemies to surrender, but I am responsible for their lives. I will never refuse a challenge from an equal. I will give honor to the worthy enemies and contempt to the rest. I will suffer death before dishonor. I will be temperate in my actions and moderate in my behavior. I will strive to emulate Yomadai's perfection. Thank you, I've learned everything I wanted to know. Irabet said your friend Jana Aldori is missing. Do you know where we should look for her? Irabet is worried about her fighters. I understand that. I want to look for Yana myself, so I didn't distract you. But since you're in this too, I could use some help. Yana and I met in Kinabras a few days ago and just hit it off. We went drinking together. We went to that unforgettable celebration together too, but we got separated in the crowd. So we should start looking from the main square. That's where I last saw her. Jana's a good fighter, even if she is green. She couldn't have become an Aldori otherwise. I hope that means she's alright. What do you think of what's going on in Kenabres? It's complete chaos. It's lucky we're here to handle it, right? Sila smiles brightly. Then she gives you a worried look. Does the way I talk bother you? I know I can seem blasé. Many good people and our protector Terendelev died here in Kenabres. A paladin of Yomedai is expected to be properly respectful and solemn. But I prefer to face my troubles with a smile and a bit of common sense. Grief is a weapon they'll use against you. It can undermine a warrior's spirit. It's better we hold off on grief until we've driven the last demon and cultist from the city. If we want to win, we can't be mourning our deceased day and night. Plus, joy heals the soul. Yeah. It's nice when you and your commander think alike. Is fighting demons all you want, or are you looking for something more? How about covering myself in glory and becoming the hero of 100 ballads, or at least a dozen, if they're lively ones? Sila's eyes shine cheerfully. Anyway, to be more serious, the area around the Whirlwind is the best place for a paladin who wishes to defend the weak and serve good. Being part of the crusade is reward enough for me. There's something that worries me. I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing my brothers in arms, but Eagle Watch, the other orders are focused on just one aim, the war against the Whirlwind. That's why they can sometimes overlook the smaller things, ordinary misfortunes, you know? I always liked being a wandering knight, because any moment I could get up and go help a poor rat folk whose family had been kidnapped, or an old woman whose favorite dog had gone missing. So here's my answer. I don't have some big important goal, but I'll be happy to help those who need it. A little here and there. I can get behind that most of the time. I think we should go our separate ways. You better look for a new commander. Nah, we keep. I am relatively happy with everyone except the shaman. If we can replace her with a cleric later. I mean, she does some cleric-y stuff, but I don't like her character all that much. for now. Irabeth. Irabeth rubs her red and tired eyes. Any success? How is the city? What is our main objective? You heard what the demons said. They're going to desecrate the Wardstone and blow up the whole barrier around the world wound. That would be an even worse disaster than the world wound's expansion before the Second Crusade. Not only Canabras, but every city with a Wardstone will be destroyed, including the capital. We can't allow that no matter what. We will retake it, even destroy it if we must. Yomede's gift must not become a weapon of the abyss. These Wardstones, what are they? They are our greatest treasure, the shield given to us by Yomede herself and placed in Kinabras and other Mendevian cities and fortresses by her herald. The chain of Wardstones forms a protective barrier that stops the expansion of the world wound and keeps the demons from moving beyond its borders. I shudder to think what will happen if that barrier falls. Allow me to ask a few personal questions. Frowning a little, Irabeth nods. Please, but I must warn you, there are some things I don't have the right to discuss. Where are you from? I was born in Canabras. Grew up on a farm just outside it. But my way back home lay at the end of a long and winding road. It took me years of traveling through foreign lands before I came to be where I've always belonged. How did you become a paladin? A bitter smile appears on the half-orc's face. I don't much like to remember it, believe it or not. The story of how I became a paladin is also the story of how I failed to become a knight. My parents were crusaders, made their souls stand together in Yomede's celestial army. When I was born, they retired from the war and started preparing me to continue their legacy. But my father was an orc. You'd be pressed to find a calmer, wiser, and more pious servant of the goddess than he. But still, all his life he was dogged by sideways looks and whispers. When I grew older and it was time for me to serve, I decided anywhere but Canabras. That was where my father had served loyally, and his only reward had been injustice. Besides, the witch hunters, led by the honorable prelate Hulrun, stalked the city with a heavy hand. Who knows what they'd have done to a strange girl with green skin. Instead I went to... A smirk that looks more like a painful grimace crossed her face. You can laugh if you want, but I was young and foolish. I chose the last wall of all places. You can imagine how well I was accepted in a country that's been battling the orcs of Belkzen since its foundation. While orcs can be found through Golarion, nowhere else are they as plentiful or live as densely populated settlements as in the hold of Belkzen. Belkzen is an unforgivable wasteland filled with shrub brush, steep mountains and uneven badlands, where water is scarce and generally limited to the seasonal flood road. There were many there like me, but we were all treated as second-class citizens. To the locals, my green skin was worse than leper scabs. Even my brothers in faith kept their distance. I took my vows, and the goddess granted me the powers of a paladin, but even then, not a single order would accept me into their ranks. I spent another 6 months knocking on doors before I realized the simple truth. I serve Yomede, not these people. I don't have to prostrate myself before them, so I left as a paladin, but not a knight. Things are bound to be tough for your kind too. You belong to two different races, but neither is willing to embrace you as one of their own. But at least relations between humans and elves aren't as poisoned by centuries of mutual hatred. How did you come to join a knightly order? I left the last wall and went traveling. The goddess guided me, and my path led me to where atrocities were happening. I often fought in exchange for gold, but never for unworthy aims, of course. I wandered the river kingdoms for a few years, killing monsters and tracking down criminals. Sometimes I thought I was just wasting time, that my true place was in Canabras, but I pushed those thoughts away. I didn't even want to think about going back, but in the end, divine providence had brought me to my senses. It happened in Timon. I was tracking a gang of bandits, which my employer suspected was a cover for Rasmiran spies. I managed to find their lair, but inside I found something far more dangerous than spies, an unholy temple to Zonkuton. When I broke in there, the cultists were about to sacrifice someone, the person who was destined to become my wife, Anivia. That's another story. Alright, okay. After I cut down the cultists, I examined their papers and couldn't believe my eyes. A network of evil cults had spread through all of Avistan, including Mendev. Worse, the documents clearly showed that their allies, the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth, had infested my native Canabras, and were even amongst the ranks of the Paladins. After that, delaying my homecoming would be tantamount to desertion. Luckily, I was no longer alone. Anivia was as eager to destroy the cultists as I was. The Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth, pledging their lives to Baphomet, these cultists schemed to subvert the good works of the Crusaders. They caused trouble in Crusader camps, instigating fights and egging participants on to greater violence. They spread lies and sowed the seeds of fear with voices sweetened by magic. Some have even assumed the roles of holy crusaders and risen in the ranks of other knightly orders, waiting for the moment when their treachery can be used to achieve a most foul end. Damn, that's horrible. Anivia and I hurried to Canabras. We couldn't trust anyone. The papers indicated that the cultists had infiltrated everything. Luckily, I had some experience in investigation. My beloved, the half-orc smiles warmly. She knew her way around working locks, tailing people, and trading information with the city's bottom feeders. Soon we defeated, alas, not the whole Hydra, but a few of its heads. You know who turned out to be the leader of the cultists? The commander of the Eagle Watch. Can you imagine? While Prelate Hulrun was chasing witches through the city, the enemy had infiltrated the very order responsible for internal security. The scandal reached the ears of the Queen. At first she planned to disband the order in disgrace, but then she offered its command to me, and put its salvation in my hands. Of course, there was one small catch. I wasn't a knight, but I was made commander just the same, skipping the usual progression through the ranks. Yeah, I can't imagine the followers of Zonkuton in alliance with demon worshippers. Shouldn't they hate each other? They should. Baphomet's minions are masters of deception. They manipulate Zonkuton's butchers as eagerly as Yomede's knight. The cultists from that unholy temple didn't know the true face of their associates in Canabras. We ourselves learned the truth much later, after getting to the bottom of their nest. How did the people of Canabras feel about your backgrounds? They tolerated it surprisingly well. I shouldn't have been so wary. Crusaders don't tend to be prejudiced, as a rule. After all, heroes from all over the world, even from other continents, come here to fight the demons. Apparently the people were only suspicious of full-blooded orcs. There were already many like me here, and we didn't have any problems. Though the locals do have their superstitions, Mendev is as merciless as Lastfall. They just have different sets of victims. I kept seeing those same sideways looks and scowls, hearing the familiar whispers, but where once they used to be whispers behind my back and point at me, now they whisper in my ear and point at someone else. It's so strange to be on the other side of humiliation, to wipe the spit from your face, suddenly be invited to change position and spit at someone else. You must have figured out by now that I'm talking about tieflings. It's true that there are many of them amongst the cultists and few among our crusaders, and our fighters do all they can to drive away those who would be our allies. People shun them, call them Arielus spawn, or worse, as if they chose to be born like that. I believe it's quite a feat to rise against the call of one's blood and join the forces of good. Still, most only see them as the enemy. I once saw a knight bleeding to death because he wouldn't let a tiefling priest touch his wound. Alas, I haven't been able to change this in all my time in Kenabres. Tell me about Anivia. We met in Timon as I was wandering aimlessly from one ordeal to another. We returned to Kenabres together to expose the Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth. The day the Queen knighted me was the second happiest day of my life. The first was the day of our wedding. But Anivia isn't just my beloved. She's my staunchest ally. We share every victory and defeat. The best of me is alive thanks to her. Thank you for saving her back then, the day Kenabres fell. Before her return, the only thing giving me the strength to protect the Defender's heart was the hope that I'd see her again. We are in your debt. Thank you for your answers. Now tell me about the Eagle Watch. It was a small order created to fight not only demons but also the enemy within. To maintain the purity of the paladin ranks, prevent heresy, and identify spies, and it failed miserably at that. The Templars of the Ivory Labyrinth infiltrated it and formed their nest within its ranks. After the Queen entrusted me with leading the order, Anivia and I practically built it from scratch. We got rid of dead weight, people who weren't committed. We organized ways to transmit messages and orders safely. We introduced reliable ciphers. We found tacit allies around the city, from crusader orders to street beggars. This was my personal crusade to purge the city of the Templars who had infested it. And I thought I was winning, I could feel it. We were so close to driving the cultists out of Kenabres, but it's hard to admit, but those successes didn't count for much once the demons entered the city. On the contrary, if it wasn't for you, there wouldn't be headquarters at the Defender's Heart. The cultists would have served up the city on a platter to the demons. The lines on Irbet's forehead softened. Yes, that's true. It's a good thing we achieved something. Thank you. I have to go. Go. May Yomede keep you safe.
Let us be off.
Who are you? A young man in well-worn traveling clothes and a simple wooden symbol of Erastil on his chest is efficiently cutting a linen robe into strips to use as bandages. Despite his visible exhaustion, he works with zeal, singing some tune about red braids and ripe sheaves of wheat under his breath. He raises his warm chestnut-colored eyes to you. Are you one of the Crusaders? Thank you for defending those whose talents lie off the battlefield. I'm Jurnal, servant of Erastil. Pleased to meet you. I could use the help of a cleric. Jurnal makes a helpless gesture. Erastil knows I'd be glad to help you, but it's no use. My spells are depleted and I have no training in potions and scrolls. See this rope I'm cutting up for bandages? It's the second to last one. Yeah, what are you doing? I only took my holy orders recently, so my god has only bestowed a little of his power upon me yet. I'm sorry to say that the number of wounded fighters in this tavern is far beyond my power to heal, but there's a reason people say, have faith in the gods, but look to yourself first. I may not be able to help the wounded with magic, but at least I can cut up bandages. Are you from around here? No, I was just passing through Kenabres. I was sailing down that old man of ours, the great Ceylon River, to a village by the name of Chili Creek. I happened to land in the city on the eve of the festival, and I'm ashamed to say I decided to stay for a day to enjoy myself. But I ended up staying in the city longer than I'd bargained for. Chili Creek, where is that? It's a small fishing village. It's not even marked on some maps, but people do live there. What they don't have is a priest. They have no one to heal their wounds, no one to offer prayers for a good catch. No one to give their dead a dignified burial. The world wound is a stone throws away. So I'll be setting sail for Chili Creek to serve my God and my people. Once we've held Canabras, I'll be going there. If by the grace of the good gods we all survive this, you should come and visit me sometime. You'll find the village here on the bank of the river. He marks Chili Creek on your map. Aren't you, a young and inexperienced cleric, afraid to go to the border of the world moon? I won't lie. I'm afraid, but what can I do? Those villagers are simple people. Every day of their short lives is spent doing hard, honest work. That's exactly the kind of life I want. Something simple but meaningful. If I had centuries ahead of me like elves do, I might have spared some 50 years or so to travel around the world, the young man says with a smile. Or maybe even 100. Why not? But I don't have time to spare. So I want to spend my short life in the place where I'm needed most, even if it's dangerous. Especially if it's dangerous. I have to go. May Era still watch over you. Yeah, let's go check out Form Autumn Haze. A tall, fragile-looking elf sits in front of you, eyes closed. He's pale as a ghost, his arm wrapped in a blood-stained bandage. You spot the other bandages on his body under his clothes, but even in such a miserable state he manages to keep calm. Raising his eyes to meet yours, he says faintly, I am Form Autumn Haze, at your service. His pale lips are reddened by blood, but you see no signs of pain or fear in his grey eyes. Do you need help? After giving you a cold, intense look, he shakes his head. Do not trouble yourself on my behalf. A local healer tended to me. Besides, I come from a resilient, hardy people. My body will endure both the wounds and the poison delivered through them. Who are you? My name is Form Autumn Haze. I've come here from Kyonin because I am a hunter, and all minions of evil are my quarry. I won't say more than that if you don't mind. We are strangers, and of different races and cultures. I'd rather not tell you more than is necessary. I am Leandra. You can trust me. I might be able to help you. I would be impolite to refuse such a direct and friendly offer. Who is your quarry here in Mendev? I was hunting a fugitive, a Descarite by the name of Kailessa. Pains me to admit that there are heinous malefactors such as her among my noble kind. Managed to catch up to her in Canabras and I wounded her. Then demons appeared and the city was engulfed in flames. I was injured in the battle that ensued and couldn't free her soul from its service to her dark masters. He expresses no anger or hatred as he speaks, only compassionate sorrow. You're not that great of a hunter now. I'm sorry for your misfortune. I hope things will turn out differently next time. He purses his lips. There is no need for pity. Our ancient kind is blessed with great longevity. We gain a deeper understanding of the world than other races, and we learn our lessons better than anyone. That goes for learning from our mistakes as well. I survived, which means I will be more prepared when next we meet. I wish to aid in your hunt. Fawn covers his eyes wearily. I thank you, but this is my mission, and I'm used to facing all matters of terrors on my own. I do appreciate your willingness to help. If you happen to meet Kailessa, take caution. She has turned many innocent souls to the path of evil. Darkness has rewarded her with many gifts. Her appearance alone will tell you that it is warped. The agate skin, the malicious stare of her blood-red eyes, the bestial teeth. She's more monster than elf at this point. What does this Kailessia look like in the end? Her skin is dark, her hair preternaturally white. Her red eyes can see perfectly in the dark, which to my dismay I've come to know from experience. The bright light causes her kind pain. I used an alchemical powder that exploded in a dazzling flash, and she cried out, as if I had stabbed her. So we failed the check here. So I guess we could have known what she is. It's clear that this woman is a faithful servant of darkness. The marks that Kailesa's master have left on her appearance say as much. I'd like to know more about you. I won't hold anything back, not who I am, why I made my way here, or who it is that I'm pursuing. Tell me about yourself. Other people tend to believe that identity is the sum of a person's actions and the events that happen to them. For them, I am one of a long line of warriors of Kyonin, who, since his youth, had dedicated himself to hunting evil and injustice. For them, I am a successful and capable huntsman who has tracked down and slain the many great monsters. Kyonin is the homeland of the elven race on Golarion. It was almost completely evacuated by the elves before the fall of the Starstorm, they only recently, by elven standards, so still quite a long time, returned to Golarion to reclaim their ancient homeland and have become an isolationist realm, allowing few non-elven visitors into their mist-shrouded capital, Yadara. But I am an elf, and for me, my identity has a different meaning. It is shaped by the place where I was born, that I love so deeply. I am shaped by what I find beautiful, and what makes my heart quicken, by the fears that come to me in the dead of night, by the things I find so intolerable that at the sight of them my very core darkens and fills with poison. Thus, to tell you who I am, I would require many days and much candor, which is more than you and I have at our disposal. Why did you choose to be a hunter of evil? Because I am the son of a noble and proud nation. We are sometimes criticized for our arrogance, but no one dares to doubt our honor. When a crime is committed, we cannot turn a blind eye. If we were to abandon our obligation to oppose evil, if we were to surrender this obligation to other races, we would also relinquish our preeminence. Okay, so yeah, this is the same. I have to go. Alright, let's go into the basement.
Let's move.
Can I not? There's more people here. Just look around first. Oh, what's happening? Surrender thy sword, thy soul, Delvin. Yomade, protect us! Ha, got you again. How many times is that today? Take your jokes and shove 'em, tiefling. Whoa, easy there, chief. Don't hit me. Okay.
Follow me.
Outside. Well, do they mind if I take some loot? Let's just take it. Nobody minds. They're all crusaders. Hello there. Go ahead. Don't take too long.
Hey, Chief! Ooh, hey, gorgeous. Come over here. I want to talk to you about something. Something really important.
Quit bothering the decent people in here, Woljif, or I'll knock your teeth out!
What's it to you, Delvin Dum-Dum? You were told to guard me, and I'm not stopping you. But no one told me I had to shut my trap. Woljif Jeffdo. I deal in useful things. I can get you whatever you want. Anything. But there's just one problem.
He rattles his chain and gives you a meaningful look. What do you want from me?
I'll lay it out for you. Simple job, 30 minutes tops. We go someplace, talk to someone, and in return, whatever you want, I'll get it for you. Some extra rations? No problem. Armor, weapons, scrolls, you name it. It's as good as yours. If you need my help with something, whistle and I'll be there. I'm handy enough with knives too, and even my magic know-how isn't too shabby.
What a load of guff! If you were good at magic, you wouldn't be stuck in here now, would you?
Don't you listen to him, Chief. He'd find fault with the Queen herself. I'll be useful to have in battle, and I'll sell whatever you want at a reasonable price. It's your lucky day. You won't meet another gem like me in Canabras.
So is this a potential rogue companion? Why are you
Does
in
it
chains?
really matter? Don't get hung up on the past, Chief. Don't look to the future. Live in the here and now.
He was caught thieving.
Your shadow, what was that?
Get me out of here and I'll tell you. And don't worry, it's not contagious.
I like this character. I want him as a companion. I can't help you while you're chained up here. How can I free you?
That's easy. You know Irabeth? Feisty looking gal, always wears armor. You can't miss her. She's the meanest fighter in the whole city. When you see her, put in a good word for me, will ya? Tell her there's this guy, Woljif, locked up for no good reason in the Defender's Heart. Well, for the follies of his youth. And he really wants to get out on bail so he can keep up his good behavior and make a contribution to society. You got that? Will you do it?
Alright, I'll talk to Irabet about your situation.
I knew I could count on you. Knew it the moment I laid eyes on you.
We'll talk later. Okay, I think this is a good place to end the episode, and apparently we're still not out of this tavern, but at least we're getting close. So thank you all for watching, and see you next time.